Are you trying to make your own trap and hip hop beats? In this video, I'm gonna show you how to do exactly that, and I'm gonna make it so simple for you and so easy for you, you'll be cooking up your own beats by the time this day is over. But before we do that, let me very quickly introduce myself. My name is Connor Edwards. I'm a singer-songwriter, producer. I make beats, post them here on YouTube. I sell on BeatStars. I even make custom beats, so if you're interested in that, you can message me on Instagram. The link is in the description of this video. Enough of that, let's hop right into the production. So before we get started, let me show you a short snippet of what our beat is going to sound like. As you can tell, I was kind of going for like a Lil Baby, Drake, Lil TJ style influence there. It's like the sad piano version of trap and hip hop. In these type of beats and in these types of productions, I always like to think of it in three different groups. The first group is your synths, and I route all these things to a synth bus. Those are your keys, your pads, the piano, any types of plucks, basses, 808s, guitars, which aren't in this one, but I use a lot of the time. Any of that stuff I consider synths. The second group that we have is samples. So a lot of times in these songs, I will chop up vocals and use those as a sample. I might use like real life elements or something like a Foley type of thing that I get from Splice. That could be a sample too. And then last and certainly not least, especially in these types of productions, the last group is drums. 99% of the time in that last group, I'm using samples from Splice. You might have sample packs as well. Sometimes in your DAW, I use Logic, but in your DAW, they might have some drum sounds there. You can use any of that type of stuff. I'm going to take each of those three groups and break them down for you, make it super simple and easy. So the first group are synths. So I just started out with chords on the piano, and I played it on the MIDI piano right behind me, and you see that that leads you into MIDI notes. These chords are in the key of G minor, and then you could copy these chords, you could copy the MIDI notes and really drag them up and down to whatever key, whatever scale really that you would like. So I used a piano sound, I used a Serum patch to layer that, and I also used a pad from Serum. So let's start out by hearing what all of that sounds like. Next, we have our basses, which I don't know how well you'll be able to hear it if you're listening on your phone, but I always will take these MIDI notes and just cut them out of the piano or the chords or the keys or whatever I had that I was using for that. I'll just take the bass note, usually have to pitch it down an octave or 12 semitones, and then that becomes my bass. So I almost always, 99% of the time, I have a Reese bass, which is almost just like a pad of a bass that just sustains and it follows those chords. And then I also, of course, have an 808. So let's hear what those two sound like. Last in the synth group, I have what I call either a lead or a pluck. I notice in a lot of these types of songs, there is just something obviously in the key that plays and it just repeats itself very repetitively over the course of the entire song. So I was going for like this bell-ish like type of sound and just played a little pattern that I pretty much, again, just repeat throughout the entire beat. This is just a patch on Serum, and I'll play that for you right now. And that's it for the synths. Literally only 6 tracks throughout the entire song. So next we move on to the samples. For the samples in this song, they're pretty much just layers that help to fill out that like musical bed and help to support the chords that I chose for this song. So there are 2 loops that I got from Splice, and I pretty much just searched in the key of the song, which is G minor, and around the BPM, which is either 150 or 75, depending on how you want to think about it, and I just time stretched those to make sure that they fit within the song. I also have a sample vocal that's just one of those things that has a lot of reverb on it. And then the only other thing really is a sampled cell phone that was just 1 semitone off of the key of the song, which is G minor. I think it was G sharp. So just pitched it down one and dragged it into Logic Sampler, which you can see behind me. And I just have that as a layer for that lead sound or that pluck sound that we just talked about. And it just repeats over and over again throughout the entire song. So I'm gonna play all those samples for you right now. Then last and certainly not least is the drums. This is really important. I would argue probably the most important part of these types of songs because you want it to have the right groove. This type of song that's a little bit slower, more emotional, sad type of beat might be a little bit different than if you have more of like an upbeat hip hop style rap song. So it just depends on really what you're going for. These are all samples that I got from Splice. And when I approach these songs, I always think about a few different things. The first is what kick and snare pattern and what's that going to look like. Then I usually will add in hi-hats because that can give you really just a baseline for, okay, what's the kick, what's the snare or clap or snaps or whatever, then the hi-hat. And then I start to kind of work around that. So in the verses, I did some perk loops, essentially like shakers or little hits, and add some movement. I have 3 of those types of loops, and really then all that's left beyond that are layers. I have a layer that has the groove. I have risers. I have some impact hits when the chorus comes in, and that's pretty much it. It's more minimal in this song and this type of a song, and you could add in more, but really that's all I pretty much think about is just kick, snare, and claps or layers to make this kick and the snare sound really solid. Hi-hats and hi-hat layers with the perks, and then just transitional type of things and help move you into the chorus or move you into the verse or move you into the bridge. So here are the drums for this song. So now that we've covered synths, we've covered samples, and we've talked about the drums, let's take one more quick listen through to everything all together and what that sounds like. And there you have it. It's a super simple track. It's only like 22 tracks that make up actually this entire beat. Hope you learned something from the video. I hope you like it. I hope that you can now go and make your own trap and rap hip hop style beat. If you really like this one in particular, I actually did post it on YouTube and it's available for a totally free download, no strings attached. Not gonna ask for your email, not bother you or message you or anything like that. I will link that video where you can just download it for free here right now. If there's anything that I didn't cover, didn't get to that you would really like to see or that you really have questions about, let me know. And I would love to help you out, would love to answer those or make another video and go a little bit more in depth on a certain aspect. Thanks for watching. See you next time.